Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for logging into the baby sign recording that we're doing today. We're just going to jump right in. We're ready to begin. So this is me. My name is Christine Helgeson. I'm the employment counselor at the Shiloh Military Family Resource Center. Just a little bit, you might be wondering how the employment counselor came to be doing a presentation on baby sign language. As we all know, military spouses have to recreate themselves sometimes when you get a posting to a new base. And when I got posted to Shiloh back in the 90s, there wasn't much call for a nationally certified sign language interpreter. So that recreation had to happen. But I still have such a huge passion for linguistics and the deaf community and language acquisition. So this is why I'm here today presenting to you. And we have helping in the background today, Margaret. She is producing this presentation for us. Margaret, would you like to say a few words?
Absolutely. So my name is Margaret McKenzie, and I am the virtual program coordinator for the Military Family Resource Center, Prince Edward Island, and I had the pleasure of having Christine as one of my students in the How to Bring a Live presentation to a Virtual Audience, and this is the presentation that she delivered to her community, and now we're really blessed to have it in recording. So learn lots and have fun and enjoy, and
Great.
share if you see fit.
Thank you very much, Margaret. So we'll just move on to our next slide, which is our agenda for today. So first of all, what we are going to start with is reasons for using sign language for our children. And we will move from there right into the fun part, the sign language vocabulary, and then we'll wrap up at the end of the presentation with some resources available to you for after the session and beyond. As well, just to give you a heads up, there will be a little bit of homework. So as you can see by the heading, we're going to talk about, why would you even consider using baby sign language with your child? Well, on the left-hand side of this table, you'll see some of the reasons for using baby sign language, and then on the right-hand side, you'll see some examples of those reasons. So first of all, to improve your interaction with your child. Even just as simple as being able to chat with your baby, with your toddler, that just really improves the relationship that you have with your child, okay? Moving down to getting important information. So asking your baby, where does it hurt? Getting a response is critical as a parent, and it really provides us with that level of interaction. Finding out if your baby is hungry or if they're just grumpy crying. So again, it gives you a little bit more of a response to go on as the parent. To be able to communicate early. Because of how quickly large motor skills develop in advance of the fine motor skills, babies are able to respond to you in sign language much earlier than they can respond to you in spoken language. So it's a really good idea to get them communicating early. And most of all, the biggest reason to sign with your child is because it's so much fun. Now, moving on to some of the myths or language acquisition theories that you would hear about introducing sign language with your child, with your infant or your toddler. So one of the first theories is that signing with your child will inhibit the development of their auditory senses. So if you're getting them to use their eyes to communicate, their ears are going to kind of lag behind. That's absolutely false. You will not impair your child's hearing because when you're using baby sign language, you're not only introducing the sign to them, but you're saying the word in English at the same time. So there is no fear whatsoever of your child having an auditory impairment as a result of signing. Absolutely false. Okay, now our next theory, signing to a child with no auditory impairment confuses the languages. This also is false. You probably already know that children are able to learn and use multiple languages simultaneously, and it develops their cognition. It does not interfere. And many people are aware of children in their community that speak both French and English, who speak French and another language, who speak English and another language. Children are very adept at keeping the languages separate and clear, and using sign language is no different. So our next language acquisition theory is that children acquire language optimally from birth to 5 years of age. And this is true. So young children are able to learn multiple languages much easier than adult learners, and adult learners will certainly testify that it is very challenging trying to train your brain to learn a new language. Children are quite easily learning multiple languages simultaneously. So don't worry about overburdening your child. The next theory, gross motor skills develop in advance of fine motor skills. So what this means is your child will be able to make a fist much earlier than they will be able to make the sound M. And because they have to move their lips a certain way, they have to make the sound across their tongue a certain way. So making a fist happens much earlier, and this is absolutely true. So children will be able to communicate in sign language well in advance of being able to say words in English. Okay, so the next one here, spoken language will be delayed when signs are introduced. False, 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 false. Especially when you consider that with baby signing, the parents are using the sign and saying the word at the same time. So actually, you're establishing the neural pathways in your child's brain for them to develop spoken language quicker. Okay, now let's just talk for a moment about how you are going to introduce sign language to your child. Well, in exactly the same way you would pick up spoken language. So when you are using signs with words with your child on a regular basis, that exposure will help develop their cognition in sign language. The repetition is important. Another way you can teach the language is by reading to your child, and as you're reading a storybook, throw in the signs that you know as you're going along. Again, it comes down to exposure. You can actually sit your child down and show them their teddy bear and say, teddy bear, show them the sign at the same time. So use the physical object and then say and sign the word to them. And this is a really good technique as well. Now, something that can be a little more challenging if you have family members that are not close to you, but even with your neighbors or with your friends, the people that you have play groups with, have them use sign language with your child as well. Because again, that exposure and repetition, they're seeing the sign more often, they will become very familiar with it and use it themselves more. So these are just some tips and hints on ways to teach language, in this case the sign language, to your child.
I have one question, Christine.
Absolutely.
What age can you start this process?
As soon as they come out. At the same time you would start talking to your child, you can start signing to your child as well. So, birth. Actually, if I can share a personal reason here. For myself, being an interpreter in sign language, I used sign language with my kids from birth. There were some developmental delays. Those developmental delays disappeared completely. You're able to discipline your children in public without having little old ladies yell at you for being mean. You can communicate to your kids if you're standing inside your kitchen and they're in the backyard, knock on the window and you can tell them it's time to come in for lunch. Lots of really good ways that you can use the sign language with your kids for their whole lives. My kids are now 21 and 23 years old and they still sign. So you're providing them with a tool for later on as well. Okay, now comes the fun part. We're getting into the vocabulary. So this is a selection of the vocabulary for the presentation. Now keep in mind it's very introductory and the intention is just to give you some basics to start you off. Baby sign language, what it does, it takes words from American Sign Language to help you communicate with your child. So obviously it is outside of the scope of this presentation to teach American Sign Language in its entirety as a language. But let's go through the vocabulary that we're going to cover in this presentation. So we're going to start off with animals, and then we're going to move on to feelings, food and beverages, toys, family members, colors. We'll quickly go over our numbers and our alphabet, and then some yes, no, and manners, some articles of clothing, and then some instructions that we can give our children. Now you'll notice in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, I've outlined what the process is that I will be following in this presentation. So I will demonstrate the sign, then I will give you slow motion with some instruction on how to produce the same sign, then I will do it at regular speed again, and then we can check in, to see if you're having any issues. And because this is a recording, the checking in part will be a little more delayed. But that's the process that we're going to go through for the presentation. So let's jump right in with animals. So we've got some cute little pets on this slide, and let's start with the demonstrations for the slides. So we're going to start with cat. Now I'll slow it down. Grab your whiskers and tug those whiskers out to the sides. That's cat. And regular speed again, cat. Moving on to cow. Cow. So what we're doing is you take your thumb and your pinky finger are extended. You put your thumb on your temple, then you rotate it backwards away from your head. That's the horn of the cow. Now on to fish. Fish. I'll do it sideways as well, so you can see the fish swimming across the screen. So you have your hand with your fingers together, your thumb extended, and you wiggle it like it's swimming through the water. That's the sign for fish. Horse. Horse. So what we're doing here, we take our thumb and our first two fingers stay stuck together. You anchor your thumb on your temple and rotate that ear forward. This is representing the ear of the horse. So there we have horse. Now with dog, I need to stand up. The sign for dog is dog. So you just have to pretend that you are calling your dog to come to you by tapping your leg. Okay, so again, really fast, cat, dog, horse, fish, and cow. Remember when you're doing these signs to say the word at the same time. Next, we're moving on to feelings. And these are really good signs to have when you're communicating with your child so you can interact with them to engage and see how they are feeling. So these are some good ones. So let's start with happy. Happy. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking the palm of my hand and I'm actually touching my chest, rotating forward, circling around and touching my chest again. So I'll go sideways on this one so you can see it. Happy. Okay. And again, happy. And sad. Now, you have to make sure that your facial expression matches. We cannot sign sad with a big smile on our face. It's not congruent, and that will be confusing for your child. So, sad. So what I have is my fingers spread. I'm touching my fingers to my cheek, bringing my fingers down, and then at the same time, lowering my head forward a little bit. Sad. And you have to have a sad expression on your face. Okay, now grumpy. This is one that you might see often with your child, so grumpy. So for this sign, again, your face has to match. You take your hand and you're making a bit of a claw in front of your mouth. Grumpy. Okay, so grumpy, mad, angry, all the same thing. Let's move along to sleepy. Sleepy. So my hand is open. I start at my forehead and I close my fingers together as I reach my chin. Sleepy. Also notice that I'm closing my eyes at the same time. Sleepy. Scared. Scared. Again, make a scared face when you do this sign. Scared. I'm taking my hands, they're in fists at my side, and then they spring open, all fingers extended in front of my body. Scared. Now on to I love you. I love you. Now in sign language, this is the letter I, this is the letter L, and this is the letter Y. So we put them all together to say I love you. It's kind of an abbreviation in sign language. I love you. Now one that our children will use frequently once we teach them this is hungry. Hungry. So what I have done, I have my hand, it's in the shape of a C, a letter C, and I start it at the base of my throat and I drop it down. Hungry. Now, the last one is sick or in pain. So a good question to be able to ask your child if they're crying and you need to figure out why, you can ask them if they're sick. Sick. So here what you're doing is you're touching your forehead and your tummy at the same time. Typically when you're sick, you can be running a fever and have an upset stomach, so that's the sign for sick. Now, the general sign for pain is this, where I am taking my two index fingers and they are rotating towards each other like they are going to touch in the middle. That's pain. Now, the beauty of this sign is you can localize the sign where you think your child has pain. So this would be headache, toothache, my shoulder hurts, I have a stomach ache. So this sign can move to wherever the pain is. So your child, when they are first learning this sign, they might just touch their head, they might touch their mouth, they might touch their shoulder to indicate where they have pain. But as the adult, you can articulate it, do you have a headache? Like that, using the sign for pain, okay? So that's our demos for the feelings. Next up, we have food. Now, there are a lot more food options that we will be using with our children than I could accommodate on this slide. So I just selected some basic ones for food and as well for the beverages. So let's start with, do you want a drink? So the sign for drink is drink. So you're imagining that you're holding a cup and putting it to your lips and taking a sip. So drink. Now, the specific sign for milk, milk. You're milking a cow, but just with one hand, milk. Now, an infant might use this for milk. They're just closing their hand. They might make an approximation, but the articulation is milk. Next up is orange juice. Orange juice. So this is the sign for the fruit orange, like you're squeezing an orange into your mouth, and drink. Orange juice. Water. The letter W in sign language. 3 fingers extended, your pinky touching your thumb. Water. Touch your index finger to your lips. Water. Next up we have apple juice. Apple juice. So you take your knuckle of your index finger and you twist it where your dimple would be. Apple juice. Now let's jump into some of these foods. I'm going to start with banana. Banana. I'm peeling the banana. Next is apple. Now we just saw apple with apple juice. So your knuckle in your dimple. Apple. Carrot. Carrot. So with this sign, imagine that you have a big long carrot in your hand and you're munching on it like a rabbit. That's the sign for carrot. Now, the general sign for meat, I know this picture is beef, but just the general sign for meat is this. So you have a chunk of meat in your hand and you're kind of delicately holding it and you flop it back and forth a little bit. That's the general sign for meat. Now, salad. So as you can see with salad, it looks like you are tossing a bowl of salad. So that's the sign for salad. Now, chicken. Chicken. I'll turn sideways for this one. You can see that the sign for chicken looks like you have a beak, a bird's beak. So that's the sign for chicken right there. Now, watermelon. We just learned the sign for watermelon with our beverage water. So water, melon. The sign for water, and then pretend you're testing a melon for firmness by flicking it. Watermelon. Last one on this list is potato. Potato. So here we have a potato, our left hand, a fist is our potato, and we are testing it with a fork. That's potato. So again, this is just some of the signs. There's a lot that we could use. I'll just add in one here. My son's favorite sign was pierogi. It was the first solid food he ate, and even to this day in his 20s, it's still his favorite food. Pinch that pierogi. There's pierogi. Okay? Sorry about that, Margaret. I know I jumped back there on you, but we'll continue on now with toys. So let's start in the corner here with balloon. Balloon. So what I'm doing is that, I'm sorry?
Can you do me a favor, please, and turn off your camera and turn your camera back on?
Oh, okay. Off and
back on.
Back on. There, is that
I love
better?
the chicken. That was fun.
A lot of these really make sense once you play with them a little bit. Absolutely.
And your son cooked pierogi. That's really fascinating.
Yes. And when he was young, you know, this is how an adult would sign pierogi, pinching all the way around. And he would just do this, and that meant pierogi for him when he was younger. So he can articulate it more crisply now, but yep, that was his favorite sign, pierogi, please.
All right. Can you please turn off your camera one more time? We'll try it one more time.
Off and on again. Is that working now, Margaret?
Not quite. Oh, there. That's better. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so now we have the slide for toys. Now, obviously, there's a lot more toys than we've included on this slide, but let's just jump in with these 6. So we'll start in the top left-hand corner with balloon. Balloon. So what I'm doing with this sign is I'm starting with a balloon, and it's being blown up to whatever size the balloon is. So you can have a little balloon, you can have a huge balloon. Cars, this is one that really makes sense. Car. Imagine you've got the steering wheel in your hands. Car. Okay. So starting off with the sign for balloon. Balloon. Now, what I'm doing is I'm starting with an uninflated balloon and expanding it to the actual size of the balloon. So this is little balloon and big balloon. Now, the sign for cars. Cars. Imagine that you've got that steering wheel in your hand and you're driving. That's the sign for car. Now, teddy bear. Teddy bear. So what I've done here is I'm crossing my arms in front of my chest and gently scratching my shoulders. That's teddy bear. Imagine you're getting a hug from a bear. Now on to baby. This one makes a lot of sense. Baby. So imagine you're holding your child and you're rocking them back and forth. Okay, baby. Ball. It depends on the size of the ball that you're using. This would be the size of a tennis ball, okay? And this would be a soccer ball, a beach ball, so ball. The toys seem to really make a lot of sense. The last one on this slide is book. So have your hands together and let them fall open in the shape of a book. Okay, so there's some to get you started for toys. Now, this is our family members. We're just going to look at mom, dad, brother, sister, baby, grandma, and grandpa. So just our nuclear family. So this is the sign for mom. Mom. What I'm doing is I'm taking my index finger and I'm gently tapping the side of my chin. Now, the sign for mother is your thumb in that same spot and then your fingers wiggle like this. Now you can imagine if you're holding your baby in your arms, signing this, your fingers are actually right in their face, and that can be quite scary for an infant. So when they're young, mum instead, because then when you're holding your child, your fingers are away from them, mum. Now the sign for dad, that same finger on the temple, dad. So I'm just bouncing my index finger on my temple, dad. Now father, thumb, and the fingers wiggle for father. Okay. Now we'll move on to brother. Brother is a combination of two signs. We start with boy, and then we put our hands and the index fingers out, boy, and then we touch these hands together. So I'll turn sideways for this one as well. Brother, brother. Now, sister is the same way, only this is the sign for girl, and then it ends the same as brother, with our two hands touching each other with our index fingers extended. So this is sister, sister. And baby, we just did baby. Again, there's the sign for baby. Now, for grandma and grandpa, grandma and grandpa. So what this is we start with our thumb just beside our chin, and we go back 2 generations. So there's kind of 2 bounces in that sign for grandma. And same thing for grandpa. So again, real quick, mom, dad, brother, sister, baby, grandma, and grandpa. So that's the nuclear family. Here we have an assortment of colors. So if you are wanting to be specific with your child and tell them you want them to bring you the red ball or get the blue book or get their yellow teddy bear, these are some colors to get you started. So we'll start off in the corner here with red. Red. I'm taking my index finger and I'm kind of touching my bottom lip. Red. You can remember this one that usually lips are kind of a pinky red color. Red. Now across the top we'll go to purple. This is the letter P in sign language. My index finger is out, my middle finger is pointing down, and my thumb is touching the knuckle on my middle finger, and I circle it. Purple. Purple. Now on to blue. Blue. Here I have my fingers all together, my thumb is tucked across, and I rotate my wrist. Blue. Move down to green. This is the letter G in sign language. You can see that. And rotate the wrist again for green. Now yellow is the letter Y in sign language. Yellow. Yellow. Now we'll jump up into the middle of the screen here to black. Take your index finger, black, black. I'm starting at the left-hand side of my forehead, and I'm just drawing my finger across to the right-hand side of my forehead. Black. And orange. 2 pinky fingers, orange. So I have my 2 pinkies, and I'm rotating them around each other, going forwards. Orange. Now this is one of those signs that there are regional differences, so from province to province the sign might be articulated differently. I've seen orange, like the fruit, orange used for the color as well. So orange or orange. There we go. Now, the numbers and the alphabet, I'm going to go through them fairly quickly and would suggest that you can practice. You can look in a mirror and you can practice these ones. With the alphabet, you can practice spelling proper nouns like your name, your child's name. We'll start with the numbers, and I'll just give a quick demonstration, and I'll turn so that the background is fairly clear here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pinky across, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So again, 1, 2, get that thumb out for 3, 4, 5, 6, and a little wiggle, 7 with a wiggle, 8 with a wiggle, 9, and 10. I'll show those at regular speed. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Now for the alphabet. A, B, C, D, E. My fingertips are resting on the edge of my thumb. F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Now I have turned my hand so that I can demonstrate the signs, but for your comfort, if you are using the alphabet a lot, have your hand in this position so that your palm is facing to the side. I don't want anybody to be getting any overuse symptoms or any carpal tunnel as a result of this. So this is the natural position to be doing your alphabet in. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z, or Z. Again, just be careful with your hand position, because when you're not used to making these shapes with your hands and holding your arm up like that, it can get to be uncomfortable, so just to be careful. When I was signing with my children, proper nouns are always spelt using the alphabet, and my kids could very clearly catch the first letter and the last letter in each of their names so that they knew who I was talking about. My son's names were Kyle and Matthew. So Matt always used to watch for that W at the end, and Kyle always watched for his K at the beginning, so they knew which name I was actually spelling for them. So you'll be surprised how quickly your kids will pick up the same tips and be very, very good at spelling things. Okay? Back one slide to our yes, no, and manners. So looking in the top corner there, yes, no, and maybe. Yes, yes. See how I'm nodding my head at the same time? If you're holding something, obviously you could say yes without doing that sign, but yes, no, and maybe. So maybe is very much the scales going back and forth. Maybe, no, and yes. Okay? Now, thank you. Very important word for our youngsters to know. Thank you. So here I'm taking my hand, touching my bottom lip, and just coming forward. Thank you. Please. Please. I'm taking the palm of my hand and I'm making a circle on my chest for please. So please and thank you. Excuse me. Have your left hand with your palm up. Excuse me. So you keep that hand still, and your right hand, your fingertips are touching, and you're brushing as if you're brushing crumbs off of your hand. Excuse me. I'm sorry. So this is very similar to please, except we make a fist and we circle on our chest. I'm sorry. And it's good to have a look of I'm sorry on your face when you do this. So please and I'm sorry. You're welcome. You're welcome. So I'm touching my index finger to my bottom lip and circling around and touching my pinky finger just below my chest. Yes, Margaret? Question?
I was wondering, you said the left hand or the right hand. What if somebody's more comfortable using a different hand? Does that make a difference in your sign?
If you are right-handed, for example, with the sign for excuse me, I'm a right-handed person, so my left hand just sits there and my right hand is the one that's doing the moving. So with one sign like thank you and please and I'm sorry, if I'm left-handed, I simply articulate those signs with my left hand. I'm sorry, please, thank you. Okay, so if you are left-handed, you just make all these signs with your left hand. Okay?
Thank you.
And I can clarify and show them both ways when it's a sign that you're using two hands for, like excuse me or excuse me, depending on whether you're left-handed or right-handed. Thank you. That was a very good question, Margaret. Okay, so clothing. Now, again, just a couple here to get you started. Very important one for our babies is diaper. So I'll stand up so you can see this one clearly as well. Diaper. I'm using my first three fingers, my two fingers together, my thumb, and it's like I'm closing the tab on the diaper. Diaper. Now, let's start with hat. Hat. So it's simply the action of putting a hat on your head. Okay, so that one's pretty straightforward. Now, dress. Dress. So we're just starting at the shoulders and we're letting our hands kind of fall down in the shape of the dress. I think I'll stand up for all of these ones for the clothes just to give a better visual of what the signs look like. And take my headset with me, actually. So, dress. Next we have jacket. So imagine you're grabbing the jacket, you're putting it on over your shoulders. Jacket. So we start at the shoulders with our thumbs extended and rotate down like we are outlining where the jacket falls. Shirt. Start at the shoulders like we did for dress. Shirt. Dress goes all the way down. Shirt is just to the top. Okay, shirt. Now shorts, shorts. See if I can stand closer. Nope, further back. Shorts. Now you'll see the difference. This is shorts. You're outlining how long the shorts are on your leg. Pants, you outline both legs. Go get your pants. Okay? Now, t-shirt, t-shirt. So with the t-shirt that I'm wearing, for example, I can just show you where the sleeves actually end. That's the sign for t-shirt. So if you have a long sleeve t-shirt, it would be down here to the wrist. And pajamas, night clothes, is the two signs that are used in conjunction to show pajamas, night clothes. Some people will sign, they'll make the letter for P and J. Go get your PJs on, or you can say your night clothes. Okay? So again, that's just a selection of articles of clothing, and you will see at the end of the presentation that there are a number of resources available if you would like to learn more specific clothes and to get more vocabulary. Okay? Couldn't do a presentation without having some instructions for your child. So what we have here is sit down, come here, time for bed, quiet, and it's bath time. So we will start back up at the top of the list with sit down. Sit down. So again, have your face clear that you're giving a direction. Sit down. Left, for a right-handed person, you have your two fingers together and parallel to the ground. Other two fingers making a sitting motion on top of that, like you're sitting on a chair, on a bench, that kind of thing. For a left-handed signer, your right hand stays stationary and sit with your left hand making the motion. Okay. Come here. This one, we all use this. Come here. For a left-handed person, come here. Okay? If you're being really emphatic, use your whole hand. Come here. Now, for bedtime. Bedtime. You can drop the time indicator and just say, off to bed. Off to bed. Okay. Now, if you have another child in the house, you can say, the baby is sleeping. And bath time. Now, for some babies, this is a really good, fun, quality time, and for others, kicking and screaming the whole way. So, bath. You have your fists, and you are up and down just by your shoulders. Bath. And imagine you're just scrubbing yourself in the bathtub, okay? So, bath. That's a couple instructions for your kids. There's one that isn't on here, time out. I'm sure parents will get to that point even with their toddlers. They're sending them on a timeout. Okay, so there we have a couple of instructions. Now, at the beginning, I did say that towards the end of the presentation, there would be a little bit of homework. Now, don't be scared. What I'm wanting to do is just support your learning of the signs. So I'm going to turn my video camera off right now. I'm sure you've seen enough of me, and we'll just go through this quickly. So the first piece of homework is to journal your progress. Just as you would, in your baby book, jot down your baby's first word, jot down their first sign as well. Get together with other parents to practice. This is really fun. You can use each other as resources. You can have your kids see that other parents sign as well, and then you don't have to try and remember everything yourself. You can get together for play dates and just agree that everybody is going to use sign language and practice together. You can certainly log on and watch this recording again, just to review the articulation of the signs. Feel free. Building on your own learning, there will be resources where you can access specific websites on learning baby sign language, and also you can just generally search YouTube videos. Different ways of practicing and getting yourself really confident and communicating more openly with your children. This is just a couple of suggestions on how you can accomplish that. Now, I've made mention a couple of times of resources that would be available to you. So the first one, the Elspeth Reed Center, that's a local resource to Brandon where they offer baby sign language classes. If you are searching YouTube for different videos, make sure that you're clear that you're looking for American Sign Language or specifically baby sign. Now, Assiniboine Community College is also another local resource where adults can learn American Sign Language. Now, I have included 5 different websites at the bottom of the resource list where you can specifically access videos where instructors are demonstrating how to use different signs. So very helpful resources. I used a number of these myself, so I highly recommend all of them. So thank you so much for participating and logging into this session. The key certainly is have fun doing it. Use the demos today, but also the resources that are available, and more importantly, have fun with each other using baby sign with your children. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank Margaret very much for supporting the delivery of this recording, if you will, the baby sign language. It was something I really wanted to have happen, and Margaret made sure that it did. So thank you very much, Margaret.